About 2 weeks ago, we got a teaser trailer for Born Again Season 2. I filmed a reaction to it. It was great. It blew my mind. And there were so many things I noticed in it that I thought were interesting in terms of the direction that it's hinting at. But I loved that the teaser trailer was cut together so that it never gave anything too obvious away. And I did my reaction, and the only problem was it got blocked. I don't know why this has been happening to me. Happened to me with my Wonder Man trailer, now Born Again. And I've seen a lot of other people doing their reactions, so I'm not sure if it's just an error on the YouTube side or Disney. If you hate me, please tell me. So I decided I would come here. I was going to do this video anyways. I wanted to do a little Easter egg kind of theories, discussion of what I noticed in the trailer and why I think it's really cool for where we're headed in season 2. But I am thinking I might put it up on the Patreon. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you check out the Patreon at patreon.com/vampx13. But let's talk about Born Again, because there's some things that we got to talk about. I think it's interesting because when we initially went into Born Again, this was something that I felt was not necessarily about Born Again, this show. They kind of took inspiration from a few different storylines and kind of blended them together. And that's what we got with season 1. But with season 2 and this teaser trailer, I'm seeing more visual cues that feel like they are reminding me of things from the original Born Again story in the comics. And when Born Again season 1 happened, I actually filmed a whole video where I went through the Born Again story and I explained it and I talked about some of the amazing parts of it and just what it's about. So that will be coming out soon for anyone that's interested in me going into the story in depth. So stay tuned for that and make sure you click that subscribe so you do not miss when I put that video up. As we get closer to the show, I'm sure we'll do that, and I might film some things to rework it. But first of all, I want to commend them for choosing this amazing Childish Gambino song for the teaser trailer, which I actually think was super underrated when it released. And when that song dropped, I played it on a loop for like a month. I thought that song was fire. It's one of my favorite Childish Gambino songs. So yeah. But to get to the Born Again ties, there are a few things in the trailer that we see that I am blown away by. One, we see Matt and Karen in an apartment that looks oddly similar to where Matt and Karen end up in the comics when Matt is helping Karen after she's returned to New York and returned to Matt after selling out his secret identity. That's something that happens in the story in the comics. She returns and she's been on a bit of a ride and she's had some issues with substances. And so Matt is trying to help her in that apartment. And it's a place where they reconnect. And by the end of that story, they're back together. And so I feel like we are echoing back to some of those things. Now, I don't think Karen's going to be in the same situation in the MCU as she is in the comics, nor do I think that Matt will necessarily be in the same situation. But I do think Matt might be hitting more of a rock bottom in this season too. We also see Matt at one point in a church here in this trailer. And if you know about the original Born Again storyline from the comics, we do see Matt in this church, and he is not in a good way when he ends up there. He ends up taken in by nuns, and they're fixing him up. And here we don't necessarily see any of that, but we do see Matt in a suit as himself, and there seems to be, when Jessica Jones walks in one of those shots, a little trail of blood. So I don't know if that's Matt's, but I'm guessing it might be. He's also wearing the suit in the missing poster, so I don't know if this is the day that he goes missing or if there's a connection there, timeline-wise, in terms of the outfit. But, I mean, Matt does wear suits as a lawyer, so it might mean nothing. Jessica Jones also returns in this trailer, which I was very excited to see. I love Kristen Ritter. I love Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones was actually my favorite of the shows from the Netflix Marvel days, so I'm very excited for her return. And it looks like she'll be teaming up with Daredevil in this, but that might not be the only person that he's teaming up with. We also see a scene with Bullseye in a diner. The diner also made me think of, in the comics, there's a point where Matt works at a diner as a dishwasher during the Born Again storyline. I think he's a dishwasher. And I was wondering if maybe this might be that diner. If so, I'd be concerned for the people that work there. But Bullseye seems to be having a great time, getting a milkshake, and later on, based on how the shots are cut together, where we see Bullseye's face and then we see Matt helping someone up, it kind of seems to imply that there might be a team up happening between the two of them, which would be wild. But when you consider that they both now have beef with Kingpin, I think it could be possible, and it could be really interesting. And granted, I'm not sure if Matt is helping Bullseye up in that shot. Oftentimes in trailers, things are cut together, but it doesn't mean that that's the actual order in which those shots are going to happen. But just the fact that they decided to put those two shots together in the trailer seems to imply that might be what we're getting in the show. When we also see Matt at the beginning of this trailer, or maybe around the middle of this trailer, in the apartment wherever he is with Karen, there also seems to be some kind of sound that makes him be discombobulated, if you will. I was just wondering, I feel like there have been villains that have really used sound against Daredevil, and now I'm wondering if any of them might be in this. Daredevil could also just be reeling from something that's loud that's happening outside. It could be an explosion. It seems to be that he's also training with Karen, so I feel like maybe his powers have been affected, or just he physically was injured and he's recovering. So there's going to be something happening where I think he's going to need to train and recover in order to get back in the ring, as it were. We also see Matthew Lillard in this trailer in, I think, an undisclosed role. I've heard some people online saying that he's someone named Mr. Charles, but I'm not sure where that comes from, and I couldn't find any legitimate verification of that being a role. So I'm not sure exactly who he's playing, but Lillard has talked about it online, and he's said that it is someone that's new to Hell's Kitchen, who is not a fan of the Lycra suits, and he kind of has his own thing going on, and he's very excited to show off the character. So he's been pretty tight-lipped about it, but that makes me think that his character might not be someone specific from the comics, but more just someone to act as kind of a foil, perhaps, to Kingpin. I don't know if he's good, I don't know if he's bad, but I think he might be opposed to Kingpin. And I have seen some shots of them together, but he doesn't look like he's very interested in what's being said. He looks like he's literally leaning back and disengaging. So I'm very curious to see who he's playing. I was thinking maybe he could be someone from a different department or some kind of other jurisdiction who's been called into New York to look into something. I don't know if he could be maybe like FBI or maybe even Damage Control. We did see Damage Control recently in Wonder Man, and he's not really a fan of people in suits. So I think that kind of tracks with Damage Control and kind of where they're at right now in the MCU. But he could also be someone completely different. We have so little information. I don't have a specific guess. I'm just kind of trying to suss out right now what his vibe might be. But I am very excited to see Matthew Lillard in the show. He is a lovely person, and I'm just so happy to see him doing so much lately. He is a talented actor and I think a lovely person. So yeah. Foggy also makes an appearance in this trailer, speaking of some people that I was delightfully surprised to see. Now, I don't know if this is a flashback with Foggy. It is Foggy with his longer hair, I believe. So it's possible this is a flashback. But I did have a theory back in season 1 that Foggy faked his death. That he was never really dead, that something else is going on. And I still hold on to that belief. And we have had a lot of mashup already in this show in regards to multiple storylines. So although I know this would not necessarily speak to the Born Again comic storyline that I'm saying I think we might be getting even more of in season 2, I still feel this will be a blend. I don't think it's going to be a one-for-one adaptation of Born Again. I don't think the show ever really was intending to do that anyways, and I don't really need that. I've read the comic and it's great, but I'm curious to see what they're going to be adding in here. I think Foggy appearing even in a flashback could have some implications. I do think that Foggy is still alive. I'm holding on to the hope that he's not really dead and that he will be back in some fashion. But we'll have to wait and see what that is. It does seem that he's in a prison in this flashback, so I don't know if it's maybe Matt remembering something about when he was with Foggy, or if it's going to be some vital information. We do know that Foggy was onto some pretty big stuff, as we saw in season 1 of Born Again. I won't get into that here, but I did discuss it in my reviews of season 1, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone that maybe hasn't watched yet, so But yes, there was a lot of stuff, so this could be connected to what we alluded to at the end of season 1. And of course, Heather Glenn is another person that is returning. We don't just see Foggy, we see Heather coming back. And based on the camera angle and the way that the camera kind of rotates on her, I get this impression that she's kind of sinking, that she's kind of going deeper into the dark side of things. And I honestly think what they're doing with Heather Glenn in this show is more interesting than what they did with her character in the comics, where she was a socialite that, because of her relationship with Matt and the way it went, she ended up super depressed and she basically ends everything. I think that's really dark in a different way, but I actually feel like her being a psychologist, a therapist, who is someone that dated Matt, that he never really got to tell her what was going on with him. And it all kind of ended because of her connections to Kingpin. I think that that is something that is very interesting, as this person that Matt's kind of lost because of their allegiances kind of going to different sides. And also because he wasn't honest with Heather, which fair on Heather's side. But I think she's going to be sinking even deeper into the dark side here. And I don't know what effect that might have on her. She may still die, and it might be as a result of that. And would that not be more tragic that maybe as she was thinking about going back to the other side and realized what she had done, that's when her life is cut short, and Matt is, you know, aware of this and has to go through that still. Even if they're not together, even if he's with Karen in this, I still think that would be emotionally traumatizing for him. So that's kind of everything that I have for this one. I mean, there was a lot of cool stuff in the trailer, a lot of little allusions to some fun stuff. Obviously, we get the black and red suit here, the little DD in red on Matt's chest in the full black. Otherwise, love that suit. I am very excited to see how dark this season is going to go, because I think it's going to be even darker than season 1. That's all I have for this one, friends. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. And until next time, as always, stay nerdy. Bye! And if you like when I talk about theories, you need to check this out.